Hey everybody, Crystal Beaudry here with Crystal's Clean Kitchen. So we are doing a special event for the month of December. We are calling it the 25 Days of Christmas. That means that from the 1st to the 25th, we will be posting every single day a Christmas-themed dessert recipe that is low-carb friendly, that is keto approved, and you guys, it is going to be so amazing. You're not going to want to miss any of the days. Now, some of these episodes I made a few years ago, and I am re-editing them and reposting them. So it goes perfectly with this series though. Seriously, 25 days of recipes. This is gonna be awesome. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Before we get into it though, would you do me a huge favor and hit that like button? Thanks so much. Hey everybody, Crystal Beaudry here with Crystal's Clean Kitchen. So we had a couple of subscribers ask for a specific cookie. So today we are making a keto approved Russian tea cake cookie, or Russian tea cookie, I'm not sure how you call it, but they turned out so amazing. And we had another subscriber ask for a cookie that had no almond flour in it because they were super allergic to almond flour. And so I did two different versions of this cookie. I did one with almond flour and one with lupine and tapioca flour. So they both turned out amazing and you are going to love this episode. I love Russian tea cakes because they're so distinct in flavor and it's just such a great addition to our cookie series that we're doing, which reminds me, don't forget to check out some of the other cookies that we have done because we have done so many of them. We've done so many that I'm putting them in a playlist so you can watch whichever one you want. And of course, all of them are low carb friendly, no sugar added, and you're going to love them. Well, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and let's check it out. All right, so here is all of our ingredients that we need. Now, like I said, we're making two different kinds of cookies. We are making one of the batches with almond flour and one of the batches with lupine flour and tapioca flour. So for our first batch, you need 2 cups of some almond flour. We're gonna roast some walnuts. So you need 1 cup of walnuts that has been crushed and roasted. So you might need a little bit more before you crush it. You don't have to use walnuts. You could use another kind of nut. That would be fine too. But I would suggest roasting it first because that's gonna give it a really good depth of flavor. You need a half a teaspoon of some vanilla. And we need 3/4 of a cup of some butter. You could use, if this is sticks, you would use 1.5 sticks. For our sweetener, we are using some Bocha Sweet and just 1/4 of a cup of that. But if you don't have Bocha Sweet, you could do the erythritol monk fruit mixture. You could do whatever kind of keto approved sweetener that you prefer. A granulated one is better though. And then to top it, we are going to be using some powdered allulose. Now we're going to be powdering it ourselves. I just got that big bag from Costco and I will make sure to link it down below because everywhere seems to be out of allulose, which is super annoying. Okay, for our second batch, we are going to be using 1 cup of the lupine flour, 1 cup of the tapioca flour, and then the 1 cup of roasted walnuts, half of a teaspoon of vanilla, 3/4 of a cup of butter, the half a cup of the Bocha Sweet, and the same amount of the powdered allulose. Now I'm just going to be powdering a cup of allulose and then we'll just be using it like that. I didn't really measure it out completely. I just granulated, powdered the cup and then just went from there. Okay, well let's mix this together and get started. Okay, so I have a cup of nuts. I'm going to be putting it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 5 to 7 minutes and then you want to just keep checking them. You'll know when they're done when they start to be really fragrant and smell. So I have my 3/4 of a cup of butter. Now if you're using sticks, it's 1.5 sticks of butter. And I'm going to beat this for 5 minutes before I add any of the sweetener. I creamed my butter for 5 minutes and it was good that I did that because mine was just a little colder than it should have been. I'm adding in my 1/4 of a cup of some Bocha Sweet. And now I'm going to blend this for another 2 minutes. I beat my butter and my sweetener for another 2 minutes. I'm going to just scrape down the sides a little bit and then add in my vanilla. So I let my nuts cool completely. I actually put them outside to speed up the process. And then we are going to finely chop these. You want them as small as you can get so that you won't have chunks in your cookie. You do want to be careful though not to do it too much so that it turns into nut butter because you want it into a finely chopped crumble, not a nut butter. Okay, now I'm going to mix this and the flours into the butter and the sweetener that was already mixed together. Okay, so I scraped down the sides of the butter and the sweetener. I am adding in the finely chopped nuts, and then I'm also adding in the almond flour. I'm going to blend this together a little bit and then add in the other scoop of almond flour also. All right, give it a good stir. We're gonna blend it one more time before we put it in the fridge. Okay, so here is what the consistency looks like right now. I'm going to be putting this on some parchment paper and putting it in the fridge for a half hour and letting it kind of solidify before I put it into balls. I am going to be laying out my saran wrap. I always do it doubled, just so that I have a little bit more to work with. Okay, so then we are going to wrap it up and cool it down in the fridge. So I pulled these out of, I actually had them in the freezer. I pulled them out. We are going to be making them into our balls now. And then we're gonna put them back in the freezer for about 15 minutes. What that does is it helps when it cooks, when this bakes in the oven, then it's not gonna spread out because these cookies aren't supposed to spread out. They're supposed to stay nice and round. So I actually made 2 different batches of these Russian tea cake cookies because we had a subscriber that requested to have a cookie made without almond flour. They are highly allergic to almonds, and so they said, hey, could you make something without almond flour? So I made another batch that used lupine flour and tapioca flour instead. So I'm going to also be rolling those up, and we will see how that tastes at the end. So I'm going to be making the topping for our cookies. I have about 1 cup of the Allulose sweetener, and I'm just going to be making it powdered, which is really simple to do. You just put it in your blender and blend it for a little bit. These just came out of the oven. Now some of them spread out a little bit, and so what I did is I took a spatula and I kind of just pushed the edges back in to a circle, just because we want them to be really nice and round. But you know what? It worked perfectly. I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. Now I'm going to take some of my monk fruit and I will be rolling them in it, but I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit on them first. And then once they cool off completely, I'm going to roll them in it all again. Okay, so our cookies have cooled down completely. Here's what they look like underneath. I'm going to just toss them in the sweetener and then set them aside. Trying to be as gentle as possible because these cookies are so soft. You are going to love them. All right, you guys, here they are. Now we did them, of course, the 2 different ways. They turned out amazing. Let's give it a taste test. Okay, so this one is the almond flour one. It is so light and fluffy. Okay, this was the lupine flour and the tapioca flour. Both are excellent. They're both very light and fluffy. I think the almond flour one is my favorite. But you guys, wow. The thing that I love about Russian tea cookies is that they're so unique. They're so different than any other kind of Christmas cookie. So you guys, this is definitely something that you want to add to your Christmas cookie list. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for some more great recipes. We'll see you next time.